Thank you for joining me on the channel, Mazarov Tarot. Today is just going to be a collective energy think tank, well, and it's kind of personal because, like I have said before, I was once introduced to some uncanny, unrecognizable, unfamiliar, unfavorable people once, where they wanted to bar Joseph or so on and so forth, because I feel like they were, and I'm gonna get to it in a minute, I feel like they were 33s. The people that I had met, they had more practice. They came from all kind of walks of life, but it was mainly Sarah. But Sarah was tied in with other individuals. I am not Sarah for the first and for the fucking last time. But Sarah said that she was, and the name Sarah don't mean shit. But a lot of people think it's somebody's daughter. I don't think so. But could be somebody's daughter. It's not that. No. But she had said that she was a police officer for the Dayton police, so on and so forth. But I was living in another city at the time, and the police, to me, I've already on this channel talked about the copper, right, and the periodic table. Periodic is like periodically. Isn't periodically means like not all the time, but sometimes, some of the time. But regardless, it's an era, and but it has something to do with the number 29, and it has something to do with 9/11, 11/9, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, when I had met those individuals who had more practice and were very phony, were very devious, and tied in with my devilish ex-husband, but he didn't listen. But he did listen simultaneously, because he did not want to listen to me offering a servant job, where if he would have took the job, then he would have been inadvertently doing right. And since he didn't want to do right, and he always wanted to fucking do wrong, he inadvertently did right by just leaving. But because some other individuals didn't understand the game that was being played, and how something bigger than them was trying to protect something by even getting involved in the game in the first place, they didn't understand their move, or the move that they were not supposed to make, and how they were supposed to be still. Peace be fucking still. Because that was the piece, that was the place, that was what they were supposed to do. But they acted anyway, and they weren't supposed to act. But nonetheless, I had took a test, and the lady when I had took the test, I had scored a 57. I had scored a 57, and that's a number that has been haunting me. One, it's the number that comes before 58. If you don't know, the architect in The Matrix was 58 years old at the time that it was made, so that number resonated with me, right? But the number 57 has always been elusive to me. I never understood it. And then this white devil lady, she was like, who ended up getting replaced, I believe it was some young black girl driving a Cadillac. She was like, oh, you scored a 57. I thought you was going to get a 33. And I remember telling her close enough, right? But I finally found, because after that I had highs, I had lows. I was shown a high by a white devil, if you will, whatever, take it, it resonates. And then I started to be chased. Actually, after I was chased by these white devils, I then had my little piece of the pie, right? But then again, they wouldn't stop attacking me. I feel like at the end, because they couldn't. They wanted me to harm myself. They wanted me to hurt myself. And it sounds so weird, but we're going to get into it. So with the 9/11, with the 11:9, it takes me to the Bible passage, John 11:45-57. And it's the plot to kill Jesus. And essentially, a lot of people have that follow the church, but they really follow a new world order. They follow a doctrine of murder, which is basically stand your ground. That is what everybody prays to. They pray to a white facility that's about standing your ground. But when it happened with that black boy and that Mexican, I forget his name, it was Trayvon Martin, we know, life, educating, shenanigans, so on and so forth. When it happened to him, he was betrayed, by Quentin Tarantino. I don't fucking know what his name was. A lot of people didn't like it when it actually plays out. But that is what they actually worship. Because in John 11:45-57, it's titled The Plot to Kill Jesus. I don't know if that's going to focus. Is that focusing? I hope you guys can see it. There you go. The main premise on why they decided to hunt Jesus Christ is because the miracles that he was doing. Now, I don't believe that he was raising the dead. I feel like he was raising the dead, meaning there was a lot of people that were sleeping, that were zombie, that were in this state of like, what the fuck? Like, come on now. Put two and two together. And he got the ball rolling. He got people to think, like, what did she just say? Who was that? Mary. There's mystery in the air, so on and so forth, with this God-like energy, mystic system spells, all this other shit, like gospel, ghost spell, so on and so forth. But what they're going to spell is symbolically music, orchestrating shit to pull at your emotions and heartstrings. But the reason why you are sanctified or your sins are forgiven, it has nothing to do with that. The church did not, or the Legion, because 9/11, right? It got something to do with the Middle East causing tower moments on us. World Trade Center, World Trade Center. To me, trade, what's a trade? Trade is a job. Trade is a blue collar. Trade is a homosexual. I don't know what it is. Trade is someone that is not highly educated. Maybe you have a certification, maybe you have some sort of piece of paper, but it's not a degree, it's not a diploma. You work with your hands, you're out in the field, so on and so forth. I think slave when I hear that. But when 9/11, police, Legion, I just talked about copper gets you arrested, but copper is not gold. It looks like gold, but it's off gold. It's not what you want, type of thing. It's not good to have. It seems good to have from afar, but it's not. The reason why they killed Jesus had nothing to do with forgiving one's sins. It had everything to do with them not wanting, them being the church at the time, not wanting them to lose their position. The church didn't want to lose their position because Jesus, whoever that would have been, it would have been not necessarily a wise man. It would have been a witness, someone that rose from the dead, someone that was also sleeping, someone that realized something. But not only did that person realize something, like a lot of people in the esoteric community, they say a lot, but when you watch it or when you hear it, you're left feeling more confused than when you started. He would have been telling you something that would have been true, tangible. You could have actually understood it. He would have been talking in layman's terms. It would have been understandable for you to understand. You could put it into practice and it would have got your mind going to where you would be able to see the reality around you. You would actually be able to know what was happening in your life, so that way you could take back control, at least over your mind. He would have been a revolutionary, so on and so forth. And the church didn't like that, because at that point in time, they had more power than the state. They had more power. You know, they didn't want to lose their position. Because to me, Jesus is like a muse. Jesus is a muse as well to me. But he's like tragedy as well. Because the story is amusing. It's like the first muse. And I just was talking about that. I'm trying to upload these in the order, but essentially they had, the church and everything else had came together because the people and they had seen what Jesus was doing, and the pastors and the deacons and all that shit, Pharisees and all that, they didn't like that. They didn't like that people were starting to believe him, aka Jesus, versus themselves. And what they feared was the Romans. They feared, I don't know, Hennessy's. They feared wise individuals. They feared people getting smart, catching on. It says, therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. I don't know why when I think about that, I think of some sort of sigil. But essentially that means like a courthouse, court. It could also, like in tarot, be a hierophant, a Taurus, just a court. But in told by Ginger Court is some big white rich woman with a father that do inside trading at the end. I don't know what the fuck, go to prison. But they said, what are we accomplishing? They asked. Here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. They feared Jesus and they feared Roman. Here's the thing. Jesus wasn't intertwined with Roman. They're not working with Roman. No, it's some big white redhead dude with a little haircut, smells stanky. No, I'm not. I didn't want to work with Roman either, and I'm not working with Sarah either, because her's a police officer. I'm not dealing with none of that, and I'm not dealing with that Arab. You know, turned around and called me a nigga. I know I'm not dealing with none of that. And I'm not dealing with no white old woman either. You look like the devil. I'm not dealing with not near one of you. No. Look at grandma. Look at what big devil look he has. I don't like all that. Then one of them named Caiaphas or something, who was high priest that year, spoke up. You know nothing at all. You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish. So they wanted to kill one man to maintain their order out of chaos, new world order. And it started off with the murder of someone that was just speaking the truth. They wanted to silence the truth. It wasn't for you. It wasn't for the better of you. It wasn't for the better of the church. It was like just for the better of the Paris, better for the rich, better for their position. And then they went for the and did that. But he did not say this on his own. But as high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on, they plotted to take his life. So the scattered children of God don't got nothing to do with the average person or commoner. It got something to do with those that feel like they are chosen. All right, they are chosen. Jesus Christ to me, 33 to me, is a negative. You know what it's starting to make me think of? Those like conspiracy movies where they have like the super rich that go out and hunt people, and like they'll bring someone in and they'll be dressed a certain way, and then they'll make that person dress like a pig, or they'll make that person dress like a just something like a deer or something like that, and then they'll release it and then go hunt it. It's that type of thing that I'm starting to think, because the scattered children of God is like Nephilim, sons of God, so on and so forth, wicked type shit. And they just wanted to kill someone that could maybe remember, that could maybe beat it, that could awake the masses to the truth of what was going on. And it's kind of sick. Now, honestly, I'm starting to think that most people are demonic where I am. So I don't feel bad, because I'm only about to be 33, right? But I've already been haunted. But a lot of people would have had the opportunity to figure this out themselves. And they don't ever say this. They don't ever. Now, if you're deciding to keep it a secret, then you're a part of the problem. Because the church that murdered an innocent person wanted to keep the truth a secret. So I don't do as that. But therefore Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. Hell no. I know Ephraim. Oh shit. I know Ephraim. Ephraim, an Algerian fucking man that is married to a bitch that was once a fake ass friend of mine, and also would have also called me a nigga, and her nigga would also call me a nigga. And you know what? I have no relation to that. I do not even fit in with that shit. That shit rich than the motherfucker, full and gluttonous as fuck. It got so much motherfucking shit that I can't have shit. It has assimilated to white life. So no, I'm not dealing with Ephraim either. That Bratz dog could, and all her little white babies that she went forth and had could do it. But bitch, I don't think that's shit chosen. Nah, my grandma bought that motherfucker lady. I don't care. My grandma did buy it. I'm talking about this girl named Yasmin I had went to school with. I am not Yasmin or Jasmine, bitch. When I was at WoW, Walking on Water or World of Wonder, bitch, my grand, she bought me a Bratz doll named Yasmin. And then I had went to Bellbrook, a fake ass Eden, and an Indian called me a nigga. And then the next day, Yasmin showed up being bigger than a motherfucker. Tall, statuesque. It's not amusing to me. But it says to a village called Ephraim. That nigga got a whole village named after him. It's called Austin Landings. I don't know nothing about that. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem for their ceremonial cleansing before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus, and as they stood in the temple courts, they asked one another, "What do you think? Isn't he coming to the festival at all?" But the chief priests and Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it so they might arrest him. I understand what it means to be haunted by police, church, or at least people that have taken an oath to God, courts, ex-husbands, mothers, fathers, fucking neighbors, everyone. I know what it feel like. And to only have your word. My word is not the word that everybody else know. The word that everybody else know is cooler than a motherfucker. Cooler than a motherfucker. A father to legitimately, illegitimately kids. Messing with whorelists that have gone by the name of angelic. messing with wise women that are utterly big and disgusting. And I don't mean in a cute, cuddly cherub way. I mean bigger than a motherfucker. Look like a bull. But saying that is no. So no, I don't. That's not my word. That's not my word. That was a wise woman's word. That's not my word. No. But I know what it feels like from doctors, everyone, to be hunted. I can totally relate to Jesus. I can totally relate to it. Am I Jesus? If Jesus is anything like me, Jesus wasn't talking to everybody. Jesus wasn't even really talking to people in his everyday. You would have not, if that's the case, he would have not actually talked to you one-on-one. You would have had to go to one of his hearings, his public speakings, and it would have been for himself and also a way for him to eventually be able to take care of himself financially and his family. It would have been a job for him to do, to speak, to think. And he would have enlightened himself because after listening to so many other people and being led astray, he would have hit a fucking wall. And he would have had to have destroyed that, tore that down so he could actually get through to actual truth or understanding. But it's so weird because those that could have been there to help, that would have been protected by a God, that would have played a mind game with the devil of pawns and all this other shit to protect the faithful, didn't even understand their position and would have turned out to be the devil. No, they would have turned out to be the devil's advocate. Because when the devil would have not done what he was supposed to do, they would have took it upon themselves to do wrong. It just was so funny because that white woman put that shit on me. She put that shit on me, 57. And it was like, when she said that shit, I promise you, but the thing is, that's not me. The thing is, because if that's the case, what I saw about myself then would have been true. Because I had this like epiphany one day where I was like, I'm hate her. I'm the cow. I'm the cow. My lineage, my story is that of Abraham. And so on and so forth. But I'm not your motherfucking sacrifice. Bitch. First off, I don't even know you. I don't know where your white ass come from. I don't know where your white hate come from. I don't know where none of that is from. But that has nothing to do with me or mine. That's how scary it is. I don't know you. I don't know you. Not only do I not know you, I come from a different time. I come from a different world. I come from a different existence. I come from a different heavenly abode. I come from a whole different separate thing than you. But since you don't have something, please don't come over here with that shit. It's that type of thing. But when that lady had said that shit to me and she put that 57 on me, before, it was actually the same day. When I first went in there, I didn't want to go in there because I seen something. I saw a pink death slip and I was going, bitch, I don't want to deal with you motherfuckers. I didn't even know. Then they started wanting to mess with my blood or something like that. Bitch started calling me Chuck. Bitch, I just didn't give a fuck about the bottom of a barrel named motherfucking Chuck. I didn't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. So, I don't know what that is. I would also come before that. So it was just really insightful because a lot of people were like, Jesus died for your sins. Jesus did not die for your sins. Jesus died because the church didn't want to be overthrown by Romans. But guess what? They were still overthrown by Romans, because guess where your Pope is? So they just killed an innocent man for the inevitable to happen. And now they love the inevitable. So I don't think that brought the scattered children of God together. I don't believe that saved the chosen or the elect. I don't think it did it. Only thing that it did was give you a celebrity named Pope, which got something to do with a fucking smoke screen and nothing else. And devil, because all the Pope shit is all about Lucifer. So it did do that. The thing is this. They didn't have to kill the truth. They didn't have to kill an innocent person to be a devil worshiper. They could have just carried on. But it's like, when you're around the truth, that could start to bother the fuck out of your soul. Man, you start to realize you have one. You might not know what's inside of you that's so angry and so vile, but it will recognize some fucking truth, and it won't like it. And it'll have you acting out your fucking character. Losing your damn mind. You know why? Because you're a goddamn pig. Poor K. Bitch, I know why. But I just thought that was really interesting, because when she said that to me and she was going, I thought she was going to be a 33. And she got so mad. She's talking about, I don't want you dealing with the dating police. I want you dealing with Roman. Bitch, I don't want to deal with Roman, the Indian, or Sarah. Don't text me, bitch. I don't want not now one of you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. So I just thought it was interesting, to be honest. Because I've been dealing with the unthinkable, witches, warlocks, and evil in all aspects of our motherfucking life ever since. But die for your sins, bitch, please. I wonder exactly how long did it take after the death of Jesus for the church to fall to Rome anyway. One man didn't stand in the way of nothing. One man's truth didn't stop nothing. One man's death didn't stop nothing. Now y'all got Catholics that worship the Pope, bitch. That's a motherfucking problem. But that's all I got. Godspeed. God bless. Bye.